Hello everyone, welcome to Vanburman's channel and me, myself talking. Oh my fucking god, it's been like 5 years, I swear. And I'm back with Vanburman in a kind of a strange, not return to form, but like a retrospective kind of commentary, podcasty discussion type thing that I never thought would ever happen again. So, without further ado, let's hear from the man recording this. Hi, Will. How are you?
Yeah, good thing. Good, thanks. Good. That was exactly like it used to be, so that's good.
I tried to make it sound as I tried to like go for as typically familiar as it once was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to deviate from what already was obviously working.
Well, I don't know if it worked. I mean, I've got the stats up at the minute, and I think
Stats, oh god.
the stats. Yeah, I'm a stat man.
Zero. Zero!
No, not zero. Zero comments maybe, but not zero. So we did like a 1 year anniversary special from when I actually started doing gaming on YouTube.
Of course you had to bring that up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I thought we were going
Of
to talk
course.
about it anyway. And that was on the 9th of November 2013. So I started YouTube in earnest in 2012 then, which is
Me too, actually.
oh, okay. My first video I think was Skyrim, actually. I remember doing.
Actually, I think one of my first was Skyrim. That might have been 2011 though, because an old friend of mine back when I was in uh, fucking secondary school wanted to play like Skyrim on camera because we had a setup to record consoles. This is back in the 360 days. Terrible time. But yeah, it was definitely different and quite difficult because recording console gameplay, it was a whole different landscape now as to what it became with consoles that had that feature built in. You'd have to use capture cards and all kinds of difficult bullshit like that.
Yeah, I think it's become a lot more accessible now to get like clips and highlights. If you wanted to do like I don't know. I know it was very popular back in the day, to do like glitch videos or something like that, and where you would need all that setup. Whereas nowadays you just press the share button or whatever it is, and instantly you've got it straight away. No bother, and you can upload it from your console as well. So
yeah, and that was the frustrating thing is way back when. I mean, I would have been, I want to say 13, but I could have been 14. Hard to tell. But that was when you'd have a thing like a hot pod. They'd make like HD PVRs. So you'd have the original PVR, which only had HD component out, which none of you ever fucked with component. But my God, what a horrible display output.
no, well, only the normal amount.
Well, that's the thing. Component was like it was a six input HD signal that came out around the same time as HDMI and lost horribly. I couldn't believe that this device from the early 2010s supported component but not HDMI, whereas HDMI would have been the standard by about 06, 07, so that was fun. And obviously I never had component on a TV. I still don't have component because who the fuck used component,
Oh, yeah, I mean, exactly. We've all moved on to DisplayPort now, haven't we? So,
That's a DisplayPort or HDMI. Is it HDMI 3, HDMI 4? Is that?
I think it's 2, isn't it? HDMI 2?
I have no idea. I have no idea anymore. Probably.
DisplayPort 1.4, I think. But it's one of them that, because higher and higher resolution is driving up the technology and the higher refresh rates as well. So, because before it was almost got to a point where you had to choose whether you wanted the resolution or the frame rate, but it's now pretty well integrated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My younger brother, as I said in the comments of the live stream yesterday, well, it was annoying because it wasn't just his, it was also mine, but his graphics card packed up the same time that my second 970 did. So he went and bought a RTX 2070 Super, and I'm just stuck on the 1970 card for now.
There's a big difference between those two, 970 and 2070. Yeah, it's
it's
noticeable,
astronomical, really. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you got to think that the 970 is a 6-year-old card, 7-year-old card at this point. But
and we're obviously due some new ones, I believe, at some point, or them to be announced anyway. So
yeah, that's the depressing thing, because I rebuilt my rig last year, so I've got an i7-9700K. I've got a Kraken 52 240mm water cooler. I put like all these real nice, real top of the line parts in it, and then I'm bottlenecking it with a graphics card from like 7 years ago. Because I always wanted to get that card replaced, and I was like, well, this rig runs MK11 at decent frame rates and decent resolution, so yeah, fuck it, we'll just keep it for now. And I never really thought to change it until the SLI packed up on it.
Yeah, well, it's I don't know. I mean, I don't think we'll see the same advances with the graphics cards that we have done with CPUs at all.
No fucking way.
The chip you've got, I believe, is 8 cores, 8 threads. So it's not even got hyper threading on it, which for one of Intel, well, at the time, Intel's mainline chip, top gaming chip, is well, it just shows they weren't taking AMD seriously, and then AMD brought out their 3900 and 3950 and 3839 series. And they've all got I think that their 3950X has got 16 cores and 32 threads, and the single core performance is roughly akin to the 9700K. I know it's like twice the price, but the point is that in terms of to the mainstream market, there is that option there, and I know that Intel have got their extreme processors, but even they are 10 core, 20 threads, and you're still paying £1,000 compared to £750 with AMD. So, if you were going to build like any sort of mid to high range computer, unless you're going for like proper top spec, you'd have to go AMD nowadays. Whereas I had an AMD processor when we did our first podcast, for example. I had one of the Bulldozer CPUs.
I remember those.
And we all know how bad they were. Still are, but I mean, they're not changed.
Unfortunately.
And that's when it was the other way around. Intel were trying to sell this whole, we've got more cores and threads, but it wasn't actually the case, because Intel's hyperthreading was far more efficient than anything AMD could produce. But I guess, the quote-unquote failure of the Bulldozer series, I guess, led them to Ryzen, and which has enabled a lot. It's really enabled like the whole streaming, what do you call it, phenomenon, if you want, because
it's undoubtable that like Ryzen, it's given people that into PC gaming that they wouldn't have otherwise had, definitely.
Like 6 cores, 12 thread is almost standard now, whereas back in those days, you're trying to stream on effectively like a highly clocked dual core or a mediocre quad core, but nowadays you can, and what you can do with your system cores and threads is you can allocate some just to like OBS or just to XSplit or whatever, so that way you don't get any loss in performance. You know,
Yeah,
because your games don't need all 6 cores. You could have four cores for your game and 2 cores for your streaming software. So, which I think is incredible.
it's pretty impressive. It's definitely come a long way. And that was the point I was going to get onto. Was originally when I first got properly into PC gaming, my rig was a 2014 build. That was an i7 4790K, DDR3, I think it was, and that was with the 970, and that was a 1,600 pound build at the time. But that was a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, but you got a very good computer for it, and up until AMD really got off with their Ryzen chips, that still would have been an extremely good CPU because there was no competition from AMD, so Intel didn't really do much from that series up until like the 7700K. You've not got like people. I remember because I bought a 6700K, and people were doing comparisons between the 2700K and the 6700K, and the differences were really negligible. You know, in terms of actual proper what real performance are you going to see outside of graphic card updates? Just from the CPU, and it wasn't worth the money. If you bought a 2700, you could quite easily have had that 2700 up until a couple of years ago and switched over. You could have had that and just upgraded your graphics card every 2 years or 3 years. Which and it's taken AMD to come in and spice things up, make Intel actually do some work. And that's the thing that I worry a little bit about with NVIDIA. Your 970, the only real advantage it's got over the 7700, over the 770, is that it's got more VRAM, I believe. Even though there was a 4 gig version of the GTX 770 as well. But there's just no competition there.
True.
You get I had this debate, or not debate, but I had this discussion with someone who does Twitch and stuff, and he was basically saying about how he thought there's going to be have to be a big ramp up in performance. And I was saying, if you look at their top card, NVIDIA's top card for the last 4 generations, you get an increase of 20% as standard. And to me, it almost feels as though it's limited to 20%.
Yeah.
You will get 20% regardless. That's what we're going to give you because we've got no reason to give you any more.
You got to think why exactly? Competition is going to be the greatest asset that we're going to have in this hardware generation. Is that if we can get more competition from AMD, NVIDIA has to work harder, Intel has to work harder, and we're going to get to a point where it's going to be better for the end consumer because we're going to be able to get higher end products at lower prices. It's going to be better for everyone, Competition is always going to be good to thrive these markets. Same with the next console generation, same with ray tracing and all of these different things and different properties that these cards can do. And these graphics is going to be, that we're going to be capable of in 2020, 2021. It's all going to hinge on how much does it cost, is it readily available, what's it like compared to the competition, and when is it going to be viable for someone who's getting into PC gaming or someone who just wants their consoles to do the same thing,
Yeah, there's a lot of points you could unpick with that,
Absolutely.
It's what is how much should a mainstream GPU cost? Is £250 about right to have a good performance at high at 60 FPS? But then you've got the other issue of there being all this push for much higher refresh rates. I've seen a lot of monitors now where they're 240 hertz. Now you want to try and I don't much care for Ubisoft or Assassin's Creed, but there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla coming out.
Yeah.
Someone's going to want to run that at 240 hertz. What are they going to need to do that? No, but okay.
Yeah.
But they want to run it at high 240 hertz. Is it even possible? I mean, I've done a lot of obviously looking at older games, and I know this probably is maybe not as applicable, but they are easier to drive, and you hit engine limitations before you get, before at the rate the hertz are going, before you're even able to hit them. So like Left 4 Dead, for example, or the Source engine will only run at a maximum of 300 frames a second. So, and we're getting very close, but we're getting very close to a screen with a refresh rate of over 300 hertz. And so there will literally be a point where you won't be able to drive it anymore.
That way.
I know like maybe the like proper competitive CS:GO scene will absolutely, be fighting for that, but the normal person, it doesn't help,
No.
And then you've got obviously all of Bethesda's engines only run at a maximum of 60, and if you unlock it, it just ends up speeding up the game considerably.
Yeah, well, you got to think the creation engine that Bethesda used to build all their games is from it was from 2003. It's from Morrowind, so they're still using a heavily modified version of that engine, almost 2 decades down the line. So unless they move Elder Scrolls 6 or Starfield or whatever the fuck the other new IP is going to be to a different engine, it is going to be that case.
Yeah, I mean, and the culmination of all their work they've spent on this engine is Fallout 76. I don't even need to offer. I don't even need to offer an opinion on that. It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Not that I'm one of these people with pitchforks out for Bethesda or anything like that.
I am nowadays, just because Bethesda holds the games I want to play to ransom. I mean, they have Arcane and id, remember?
Yeah.
We're never going to get another Dark Messiah game. We're just on the 3 if Bethesda are going to keep it under that unruly thumb for the next 5-10 years.
Maybe there needs to be like well, I don't know how you would manage this or govern this, but if a company, although, no, I'm not going to, I can already see the downfalls of it. If a company hasn't used their IP for 15 years, it becomes open property.
Public domain. Wow.
But you know what's going to happen with that, don't you? They'll just go, oh, it's been 14 years and 300 days. Here's our new mobile game.
Oh, God.
It's one of those endless clickers.
It's welcome back, everyone, to Raid Shadow Legends.
That's it, yeah.
This video is sponsored by Raycon.
They just changed the title page. No, they changed the graphics. Just give you a title page.
Yeah. EA, was it you the whole time? Do people still dog on EA? Am I out of the loop? I don't know.
Well, this is another point I was making quite recently, is that gamers are very quick to get bored and forget about the crap that games companies do.
Yeah.
Because fatigue settles in, doesn't it? With that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
How long...
I wouldn't necessarily say it. I mean, it is fatigue, definitely, but I would say it's more just like the concept of apathy. The fact that people feel like they can't change anything, so why bother?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, game companies have been given a free pass now to basically say, well, we can do whatever crap we want because eventually people will forget about it.
Exactly. People are going to buy it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, not that I would buy Assassin's Creed, but if I was into Assassin's Creed, I don't really rate Ubisoft that much. But there has been times before where I've disliked a company and still gone out and bought the game because, although that was the other point I made actually. If there was an EA game I wanted to play, or an Ubisoft game I wanted to play, I would probably be quite comfortable with pirating it.
I was going to say, yeah, piracy.
Yeah. I know it's not a popular opinion, but...
Well, it doesn't hurt anyone. That's how I feel. I mean...
Well, I wouldn't have bought it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. If someone wasn't going to buy anything, and it's even if you go to like G2A or CD Keys or CJS CD Keys, and you go to any of these key sites and you buy a copy of the game from them, the developers aren't seeing that money. The publishers aren't seeing that money.
They make a fraction, don't they? because
Do
I know,
they?
yeah, I know historically the keys were
Really?
bought in bulk, um, from Eastern European countries. So they pay roughly a tenth of what we pay. This is previously, and
Wow.
my things might have changed now. So they pay roughly a tenth of what we would pay. So they actually buy the game legitimately for a tenth of the cost that we would be expected to pay, and then they sell it for half the price that we would pay. Take all the money out of the middle, and we get it cheaper. And effectively, we've only paid the 10% price to whoever, for example. And it's because, or this is what I've read anyway, unconfirmed, unverified, because piracy is so rampant in a lot of Eastern European countries that they make the game that they just can't sell any copies unless the games are so cheap.
Well, piracy is only rampant in those countries because the games are just that so expensive, and the living costs are so negligible, and the work is often not there, that video games aren't really a viable thing. I mean, look at Brazil. Brazil have the fucking Master System still 35 years later, and 8-bit Sega system still sells around 17, 18,000 copies a year there.
Well, I remember when the PlayStation came out, and I saw it. I read it. I must have watched the video, read an article, and PlayStation 3 was 10 times the price that it was in America over there, and just
Yes, that was $6,000.
or whatever. Yeah, something completely stupid.
That's the crazy thing. It's that living in a first world country, that kind of lifestyle is just so alien and so foreign in every sense of the word.
You gone a bit. I think you've gone a bit tad quiet. Oh, I've turned you down.
How's that now?
Oh, it's better. It's better.
Cool.
Are you putting on speakerphone again?
Yeah. Okay. How's that? Any better?
Hello. Oh, much better.
Hey.
Much better. So I know we've just gone off and rambled and not really followed any path, because although that's good because that's in keeping with before tradition. Yeah. Did you have any topics you wanted to talk about specifically, or?
Yeah. I wanted to pick apart two things in particular.
Okay.
Well, God, where do I start?
One of the
guess,
two things would be good.
Yeah, ideally, right?
Yeah.
I haven't done this in a very long time. Can you tell?
No.
I think that I wanted to bring up we were discussing like that exit from from YouTube, and you were saying you stepped out for a year and coming back to it felt alien. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, of course. So I guess you have to start at the beginning.
Created the heavens and the earth.
Yeah. And then God made man, or didn't, I don't know. So I have posted on YouTube obviously since 2008, but very sporadically, and like little projects and just me goofing around, which is still what happens. But I took it up a bit more properly when I was at university, and that was as a sort of a reaction to, because I like playing games anyway, obviously, and I was starting to face maybe a little bit of criticism that I might have been playing games a tad too much, which is probably fair, because I do. So the way that I spun it was, I was like, right, I'm going to start making YouTube videos now. This is my hobby. It's not just playing games. It's playing games for videos, and maybe I'll be able to be successful at it. Maybe people will enjoy it. Maybe I will make a little bit of money or whatever. And and then I just sort of carried on, and it became, I had a decent amount of free time. I'm quite an insular person. I do go out and will happily socialise with people, but then I like a lot of downtime to myself and with my own thoughts and what have you. And anyway, that relationship ended, but I still carried on with making my videos, and it became like normal. And then, um, you know, a lot of stuff happened. I suppose and then many years went past, and I still carried on doing different stuff. And a lot of stuff is like, you know, I wouldn't say impersonating, but like doing copying videos that I like the look of. So, you know, I've done things like trying various drinks or snacks, or doing like a Poundland special, like
Reaction
Ashens.
style stuff.
Yeah, you know, because I watched them and I enjoyed them. So would I have as much fun producing them as well? You know, and giving my reaction to a load of tat that I've spent £6 on. And I did enjoy it, and it was fun. But it was fun for like a one-off video, and that's
Yeah.
sort of how I like to do it. You know, the gaming would supplement all this these other little niche projects around it. But obviously, I didn't perhaps maybe being like being on camera that much. Like, I didn't mind having a face cam, but in terms of like actually going out and doing it, and I still feel uncomfortable taking my camera necessarily like out and about. But I'm a lot better than I used to be, for sure. I think it's more of a confidence thing than anything. But yeah, so then we roll forward, and then you know, I start taking. I was working, you know, as an agency member of staff back in my hometown, and you know, life was just rolling by, and I've always been quite a big guy. You know, my body is seems to be more naturally built that way. Maybe not big as in fat, but you know, if I wasn't fat, I'd probably be quite muscular, because I'm quite, you know, body shape is of larger proportions. And trying to be nice to myself there. And I can't remember exactly what. Oh yeah, I remember now. So my Vespa was stolen, which for anyone who's watching this after the fact, the wall behind me, and you probably saw this yesterday, the wall behind me is colour matched from the top box of my Vespa that I still have the top box, obviously. And the license plate is one I had done up that's exactly the same as the one off the stolen bike. So, you know,
Did you have the Vespa for?
sorry?
How long did you have the Vespa for?
So I had the Vespa when I moved back from university, so I must have had it, I think, about 3 years, 3.5 years, maybe, something like that.
Was that no CBT then?
Yeah, yeah, but
How
you
many
know,
times have you done that? Like twice, 3 times?
yeah, twice.
Cool.
Because obviously I didn't have to renew it when I didn't have a bike and everything. But no, I moved to a place that was much closer to work, so I ended up starting to walk everywhere. But before that, I you know, used it to get to work, to go everywhere. You know, I can't remember how many kilometers or miles I did on it, but I over doubled the amount from when I got it to when it got stolen.
That fucking sucks though.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's one of the things that one of the few I have, like, probably like 10 things in my life that like I can think of now and it still really hurts, and that's one of those. I know that seems bizarre because when I look down the list of all the other stuff, it's all like stuff to do with people and like proper emotional stuff. But I think like that was such a big part of me just being able to live my life and having the freedom to go and do what I wanted to go and do.
And man, it's your fucking wheels. You know, anyone goes and takes that from you, it's gonna take a lot from you. I mean, I've been riding motorbikes for about 6 odd years now. You know,
Mm.
somebody took my fucking bike, I'd want blood definitely, and my life wouldn't be the same until I replaced it. You know,
Mm. Mm.
I've had the same bike since I was 17. I was meant to have my full license test on the 31st of March, and because of COVID, that all fell through, so that sucked. Because I did the mod one and the theory and all that, and then it was just that road test part that I never got to do, which was a shame.
I think
Because I was looking to buy a 650 or 700.
some power there.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the thing, you know. You just want to be able to cruise about and zip around people. And the thing that bothers me, so I live in Bath still. Surprisingly, I don't know why the fuck I haven't left this horrible city yet, but I live in Bath, and I've wanted like a motherfucker to to get out because Bath drivers are pretty fucking terrible, and it's only more noticeable, not so much when you drive around, but when you just walk around and you just see just the amount of shit that goes on a daily basis. Like you see moped drivers on L plates that cut people up and undertake to the left. And I saw there's this one guy, and he operates near my new flat, so I see him probably every fucking day. This new guy on a moped, looks about 18, 19, delivery driver type guy, and he'll speed down this fucking street at like 50 on like a 125 scooter, and he'll be indicating left, and he'll dodge about 6 or 7 turnings, and then randomly go left at the end of like a main street. And I think to myself, that's fucking dangerous. And it pissed me off because one day I was just riding around on my motorcycle, and I get stopped at this hill, and this car behind me just slams its fucking brakes on, and I have to like I do a lifesaver check and I weave around him, and as I go to pull away from this fucking car, this same prick on this scooter goes around me on the left, undertakes me as I'm trying to overtake a stopped car. And it's a good thing I fucking saw him, because if I didn't, I'd have pulled out and we'd have had this whole altercation. And it's kind of crazy that, if you don't ride for a while and you can sort of observe and you can really get a feel for just how good or bad your city is to drive in.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I think that's that also feeds into the YouTube thing that we
Yeah.
spoke about, because I've been without a bike for a long time now, as well, had been until I bought one again. And it's the same sort of thing, really. It becomes like this alien thing, and you're not sure what you're doing anymore or why you were doing it. Because since I had my bike stolen, I've not needed it to get to my place of work, which has been nice because it means I can walk everywhere. But then, you also you lose the practice, don't you? I know they say like you never forget riding a bike, but it's not that.
You forget certain
Yeah,
intricacies, like certain lifesavers on major roundabouts and road positionings and like the way that you might counter steer in a certain fashion. I think it's as true as if you don't ride for a while, and as if you either go up to a bigger bike or you ride something that's slightly outside your comfort zone, and you have to get used to. I mean, for me, if I say I go up to a 650 or higher, or I drop down to like an R3, or I try any kind of like bike that I'm not used to, it'll take me a few minutes to go, okay, this is the weight for counter steering. All right, this is how much I can give it before it redlines, or you know, and I mean, I've got a bike at the moment, and I don't ride very often because I've got no reason to.
mm,
I live pretty much just outside of the town centre. Eventually, when my workplace does reopen, God knows when that'll fucking be, because I'm a chef, and it's like restaurants are gonna be the last thing, off the back of this. So,
unless you do
uh,
takeout.
well, they tried that before the lockdown was caused for closure, where they did solely Deliveroo, and I think in a week they did about 3 orders, so that
Wow.
probably wouldn't fly,
Mm,
um,
mm.
which is a shame. Anyways, yeah, so I live about like a 15-minute walk, maybe less, like a 10-minute walk from my workplace, and it's like by the time that I undo, all the locks and put all my gear on and get like ready to go, I probably could have walked there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly. I've got 5 locks on my bike, and
There you go.
it's just like the thought of having to, and cover obviously, and like say gear and what have you. Like the
Yeah.
thought of getting everything out ready to go, and then doing the checks on your bike as well, because it's probably been a few weeks since you took it out. So
Mm.
check the
Let, let me
brakes,
let
check
me
the
let me quickly
tire
check the PSI
pressure.
on both
Yeah,
wheels.
yeah, and you're just like,
Screaming on
this
the
is going to be
radio.
like 15 minutes or 20 minutes if I do it properly. And
Yeah.
unless you've got a good reason to go out, you may as well walk there and walk back.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing like going out in the summer when it's nice though and having a ride on the bike. I
Oh yeah, no,
went out
it's
twice last weekend and thoroughly enjoyed it out in the countryside. You know, so but it's sort of one of them, isn't it? You know, we've been quite restricted because of the global situation. And now it's sort of eased off a bit. There's a lot more scope for doing that sort of stuff, which I like. You know, which means that we'll actually be able to hopefully get out on the bike a bit more. But more just for it's nice. This is the other flip side of it. It's nice to have it for recreational rather than like to live, if you get what I mean.
yeah. It's good just to get out there and just feel the wind on your face as you're going 60, 70 down some back roads, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I miss that feeling because I don't do that very often anymore. But it's probably just for the fact that like I don't know, but before, oh, I might go and I don't know, for fun, travel to a couple of towns over, 45 minutes, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours riding to like a pub, have a fucking meal there, just chill out in the sun for an hour and then come back. And it's like I can't even do that anymore.
Well, no, no, it's going to be a bit of a also like a bit of I know it's necessary, but almost like wasted time as well. For doing
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
basically.
I mean, I would have been to America and back by now, but because I had my flight booked, my hotel's booked.
Yeah, my siblings, they were gonna go to Madrid in April, and that all fell through, and I think that's been rescheduled to September now, but that probably won't happen.
Yeah, and I've rescheduled mine. I've got like a open ticket to book any time over the next 2 years, so it's all a case of back to the drawing board. You get all this stuff set out.
Where would you have gone?
Sorry.
Where would you have gone in America?
Well, my flight is to Columbus
Oh,
in
nice.
Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't actually ever really want to go. It's going to sound really bizarre, but in my head, I've never really cared about going to America, to be honest with you. Um,
Why Ohio?
so that is where Dead Man 4 lives.
Oh, right, I remember now.
And, I said to him that, when either of us can afford, quote unquote, to be able to meet up, then we should. And it's definitely like one of those once in a life, well, yeah, once in a lifetime things because how expensive it is.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean that's the only reason. I mean, I want to try. It does give me more time to decide what else I want to do when I'm out there because I've got loads of time. Going to be going for probably just over 2 weeks because no point going that far and not you know doing it properly.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, just been like trying to because I'm not really restricted to go in there. I plan on spending a few days doing stuff with him at the start and then at the end. But in the middle, it's like do whatever I want. So my plan was to pass my driving test, go out there, hire a car, drive around, or get a flight to wherever. It doesn't matter. I got time to go and do some very specific stuff that I would want to do out there. Not
yeah.
still don't know what that would be, but you
Doesn't
know,
matter, man.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Just go and just do stuff. You know,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The US was on my radar because, well, up until about 2 weeks ago, uh, myself and my fiance, we were going to, we were gonna um, work the summer, save up, and then hightail it to the US. So that was going to be our game plan until COVID happened. And then
uh,
off the back of that, I got an unconditional offer to go back to uni and finish off my degree. I think if I can play my cards right, I'm going to try to do a master's in America and then get her over there that way. And sort of try and make it there, for lack of a better term.
well, it's good to have ambitions and dreams. Um, not me trying
Yeah.
to demean it, but if that's what you want to do, then but you should do it. Obviously.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, it's kind of like it's been like I'm gonna get a bit fucking heavy with you. I didn't intend on getting heavy, but I wanted to keep this like light and like throwbacky. But simple matter of the fact is, like I'm 22 now. I think like what you must. I'm guessing you're like 30 now, right?
No.
No?
No, I mean, I'm not far off, but I'm not. I'm 28.
I don't know.
28.
28. All right.
28.
Okay. Close enough.
Big. Look, when I'll tell you, okay, when you're 20, I'm gonna start calling you 30. You let me know what you gonna. You let me know how you feel then.
Yeah. Well, I will. I will. No. I wanted to get heavy for a sec.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. As far as it would go, it's like my fiance and I, we're just trying to like rebuild our fucking lives because it would have been, I think, next month or the month after would have been when our fucking kid was gonna be born. So that was fun. That was a fun thing to lose. Um, yeah, that was a couple of months back now. That sucked. And then
I'm very sorry to
we had to sort of
hear
like
that.
bounce back and think, all right, well, what's next now? What do we, where do we go from here? What's the next plan of action? And I'll be honest, like I didn't have one until about like a month ago when I was like, I'm either going back to uni or we're gonna fuck off somewhere far away. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, have you ever had anything like that happen to you?
Uh, well, hmm. Not like, not in terms of that specifically. I've ever had feeling as though I want to get away. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's probably a fairly common thing when things are not, when things aren't going well, when everything is against you. You sort of think, well, I need a fresh start. What else can I do?
Exactly.
It's very difficult to push on and push through your issues. Um, or problems. There might be issues of your own creating, there might be issues of your environment. They're obviously different. I've not had anything in terms of losing you know, a bigger thing as losing a child. Obviously, everyone's had uh, deaths and bereavements and that sort of stuff. And for me, that alongside a previous relationship have been, the two hardest things I've gone through. Um, but one set of things is not worse than another. No one really has it worse than another. Everyone has their own stuff.
Of course. I mean,
Um,
yeah, there's definitely there's definitely no gumption in competing over grief.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But no, and I think if I've always thought that that particular situation, if it was to happen to me, would easily be one of the worst things. So yeah, I can't really imagine what that's like. I mean, I know that speaking statistically, unfortunately, I know that
It
it's
happens.
fairly common, but it seems like such a harsh thing to be so common.
It's just how life goes, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Mm.
So yeah, that's kind of where the restart in the US kind of came from. That and just boredom, I suppose. The fact that
Yeah.
no, I was gonna go back to Ireland, and then I thought to myself, I was like, there's nothing there, there's no point. So why not do what so many Irish people did and just fuck off to the States? You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's a nice metaphor, if nothing else. I don't really know what the. I presume you're probably far more au fait with it than I am. What the requirements are to move over there, but if
It's,
you
it's,
if you can hit that, then yeah, I don't see. Then it's something you want to do. I don't see why you wouldn't give it a go. I mean, you only get we're led to believe, or you only get one shot at this. So if you're something you're really passionate about doing, I think for me, you should go and do it.
yeah. Well, that's essentially where I'm at. Okay, that was kind of heavy. Let's let's swing back and make it a bit more light, eh?
Um, yeah, I mean, yeah. So the TLDR of the original question is, I bought a house and now have to be and now I've had to be a handyman for a while, and I've entered a new relationship where there's a lot of initial I won't say work, but life that goes on. You want to go out and start doing more stuff, and YouTube has previously been a substitute for a lot of that.
Yeah,
So
well, I think that's the main draw for YouTube is, you kind of use the platform to fill a particular percentage of your life
mm.
that you can kind of project onto, you know?
Whereas now now it is what I would have always wanted it to be. It's a hobby, and I think, and obviously I'm making loads of videos at the minute because I'm really into it right now. I'm feeling like there's stuff I want to do, but there will be laws again. Especially when there's a lot more work to do on the house. Because real world stuff has got to come first.
Of
I've
course.
got to board up the loft and put a loft ladder in and put stuff up there and clear out space so we can start doing work on the kitchen and that sort of stuff, and then start working on the kitchen. So all that stuff is going to take a really long time, but I still want to do stuff in between, and it's more just sort of and I'm still in the phase now of finding a nice balance of when to do my my hobbies, and obviously a lot of my hobbies revolve around the computer. If that's playing games for YouTube or playing games because I want to play games, and they're different. That's
Absolutely.
different. That's a different experience as well. Because you don't always want to play a game to record it. You might just want to play a game because you enjoy it, but then maybe you'll do a video at the end saying how you felt about it, or you'll go in, or you might record as you're going along and then take a few bits out of it to put together for a video. Um, and I think I'm in the phase of, because I've been getting back into it now, I'm in the phase of trying to find my quote unquote perfect balance of where I come in and where I go out, and what characters get airtime, for example, and how I use that and how that integrates into my creative outlet, which is YouTube. Like I say, I'm not a painter.
All
I'm
horror,
not good at
man, all
woodwork.
the time.
Sorry.
All bomber, man, all of the time.
um, yeah. I'll be honest with you. That is if I had to look back at all the stuff I've done and give you a list of things that I am most pleased with how they've come out, I guess, or how creative I've been with some of it. I know, like, I often feel as though some of the nuances are lost with that sort of stuff, but I put a lot of nuances into a lot of stuff that I do that I don't always think gets picked up. That's fine because I can watch it and see that. But the Bomberman would be one of would be in the top three, if not number one of the stuff I've done where I've actually put that nuance in and sort of trod that line between, is this guy, like, is this for real, is this fully serious, is there an underlying message here, and that's sort of where he sits, I think.
On the cusp.
mm, on the cusp. That's where I like to be. If I can. And obviously having there being a character there or another entity that does that, you get a lot more freedom.
Sense of self that you can project onto
Mm-hmm.
a bit for 5 minutes and kind of get that part of you out.
So yeah, the answer to the question is that life stuff's happened, and I am still finding it quite difficult to get back into a rhythm because I want to find the sort of stuff I want to do going forward, and that balance. That's where I'm at with that.
Well, I tell you, I always think about a particular piece of advice that you gave me about 5 or 6 years ago.
Is it on a podcast?
It was not. No,
Oh.
it wasn't. It wasn't podcast. It was a video, like a direct video response that you made to a very old video of mine about.
I called you out. I was doing a Bomberman call out before anyone knew of the Bomberman. I don't remember this, but
You can try calling me out, but there's fucking nothing there anymore.
Go on, I'm listening.
No, you. I remember, because I wanted to step away for some time. I don't remember why my
Oh
memory's
yeah.
not very.
Okay, I think I might remember this, but go on.
I say I was a morphine addict and shit. Like I don't have memory anymore. Um, quick sip of whiskey. No, you um you said in this video, it was like quite like a heartfelt like response to something that happened to me, and you were saying that your audience is never going to go away, and you can always come back to it whenever the time is right. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do. I do.
I think our time kind of parallel because I think you had your relationship end about the same time I had all that shit going down. So you're both in that same kind of like wounded boat. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I think I can feel that moment within me now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Not to dig up too many painful
No,
memories
well, it's
for you.
just it's pertinent, isn't it? So yes, the video is called "The Death of Cold Steel Games," I believe.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, uh, yeah. That's the one. And well, that advice, it doesn't really cling to me the same as it would with YouTube, but definitely in other avenues. It motivated me to go, well, why don't I do this again, or why don't I try something different, or keep the plates spinning rather than letting it all fall to the ground. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think about it quite a bit. Um, it was actually about the same time because it was weird. This video that I did kind of garnered a lot of people to uh kind of like speak up for me in a way I wasn't fucking expecting.
Okay,
So I
just a
had
side note that the death of Cold Steel Games is actually is actually like a Daisy video. This it's called the actual video is called "Responding to CSG Video an Explanation Why I Quit My Channel." There you go.
Oh yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
difficult to games is when your friend shot me in smoke break. Fucking smoke break. God, what a throwback. Um, did you ever find out what happened between him and I?
No.
Smoke break was a fucking weird dude.
He's not someone I've really had that much interaction with since then. So
He's got to be long since gone, surely.
yeah, gotta be. Sorry,
Um,
I cut you off. I just cut you off to make that point in case anyone wanted to know. All two
yeah,
viewers
yeah.
wanted to know.
Well, smoke break and I fell out actually on a video. It was very, very awkward. Way back when we filmed a Dying Light horror survival series back when that game came out about 5 years ago. Don't know if you remember Dying Light. That was a fucking
Yep,
good game.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the towers in the game, because it had that kind of Ubisoft staple, and you had to climb these big towers. One of them
Yeah.
sets on fire, and I said all we need now is a plane and another one, and it will be perfect.
Okay. Right.
And I didn't know he was from New York. Put it that way.
That has always been your style, though, hasn't it? There's always been a
What,
lot.
just coming out with like really
Yeah.
outlandish shit.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think I sort of made this point yesterday at the end of my stream. Um, that it's nice to have a group of people who know exactly what I'm like, what sort of stuff I'm going to say, and are comfortable with watching whatever it is that I might decide to put out because they know who I am, and as long as I am myself, like you being yourself, then that's never going to cause an issue. And if there's only 10 people in the whole of YouTube that appeals to, then I'm fine with that, and I'd rather have just. I said this is the same thing as I said yesterday. I'd rather have just 10 subscribers on my channel than whatever it is that it is at the minute. You know.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the kind words on that. I think I said yesterday in the live stream, because you had that kind of call out to Dave and myself,
Mm.
along those lines, and I really do appreciate that because it's been a long fucking time, don't you think?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. Yeah. And YouTube can be a lonely place when the vast majority of videos have between 6 and 40 views and no one really cares or comments or likes it even. And I think the way I've gotten around that most of the time is if I get a like on a video, just the one like, not from me obviously. I don't count my own likes. Not that I do that, but if I did, I wouldn't count them. If I get just one like, or one person says, "Oh, this was helpful," or "I enjoyed that," or you know, or even if at the end of a series of videos they go, "I really enjoyed that series," or whatever. If I get one person that enjoys it, then outside of the creative process, I always think it's been a success. So
Wow.
you just got to set yourself really low bars.
Well,
And
that was what bothered me. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but
no, go for it. You're on the podcast.
okay, cool. It's going to be kind of weird getting into because I would imagine that a lot of people that would watch this or fans of your channel seldom would remember who I am. Put it that way.
I guess it has been such a long time. But then again, Dead Man Fall hasn't been on a video for ages, so no one probably knows who he is. But obviously, I'm hoping to maybe do some videos with him when we go out to America. When I don't know, we've not decided what we're doing yet, but I might decide to try shooting a gun. You know, that's what you do in America, isn't it? You go to a shooting range and shoot some guns. There's more. It's just a case of people come around again, and then if people are interested, like if people wanted to know the stuff with you, obviously I know your videos are not available, but you could, garner a lot of the information around what went on by the video that I made that is still available.
That's true.
I'm like Netflix, but better because I don't take the films down after they.
Well, I'm like Netflix, but just Netflix because I hard removed everything.
Hard removed, not even just privated it and just thought, nah, you know what, I'm not going to be rash. I'm not going to be rash with it. I've got a lot of videos set to private because they're videos that I don't particularly think are pertinent anymore. But I've just left them there.
I pussyfooted around with it for a long time. I had things privated, things unlisted, and I used to drink a lot, right? So
used to.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot. I mean, I'm currently having a sip of some whiskey, but that's because
That's what I mean.
I wanted to get in the swing of the video, so I thought if I have a little bit to drink, I can be a bit more loose. And
I've got a big bottle of water. So.
Man's on that hydration grind.
Look, there's no other way.
It's not just vodka, is it?
No.
I'm gonna start slurring it.
I hardly drink, to be fair. I'm a model citizen.
I'm not.
You were saying.
Anyways, yeah, I was saying. So, I hard deleted everything because I used to drink a lot, and I'd have these introspective nights where I'd be up a couple days at a time, and I'd look back at my whole discography, back catalogue. I don't know what you'd call it, but everything that I've done.
I call it the archive.
Huh?
I call it the archive.
Archive, that's a better word. And yeah, so I look back at everything from 2012, 2013, and I thought to myself, I'm like, why the fuck have I still got any of this up? Maybe it's just the fact that I'm a little bit younger than you, but I mean, I started that channel when I was 12, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming up on like 10 years, well, maybe not 12, I think I was 14, but it's coming up on like 10, 8 to 10 years now. And you got to think, like, my content only really got conventionally good when I was, I want to say 16, 17, because I had that edge to me, as you say. I had my whole personality back then was kind of like creating controversy and being edgy and not really backing down. And the crux of my content was you remember the rant series I did?
Yes.
Do you remember how many of them there were?
Loads.
Yeah, a lot of them did quite well.
I imagine you just you did 2 or 3 a night, probably. Yes, I do remember.
Well, they did very well. the average one, even the worst doing ones, got a few hundred views, and the best of them got, in the thousands.
Mm.
And I pissed a lot of people off. And I was watching these back, these videos full of vitriol and hate and anger. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this isn't the person that I am anymore. So why would I want to pretend that this is me? And it might have had to do with my transition because I'm transgender now, or at least always was, but didn't act on it until I was 17, 18. But
Mm-hmm.
it kind of it felt disingenuous as to who I was. You know what I mean?
Well, I've not gone through it personally, but yes, no, I know the broad concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I kind of thought it's like, well, do I want to be this person that's just a mouthpiece? The dances, dances when they say dance, jump when they say jump. No, that wasn't who I am. That's not who I want to be. And as well off as that made me is because that whole series kept everything else in line. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying. A lot of the other stuff didn't do so hot, and that kind of dissuaded me from doing it. And then it got to a point when, as soon as I stopped, being that mouthpiece, being that puppet that dances, I kind of thought, well, if that isn't going to keep the whole ship sailing, then what's the point? I might as well just let it go. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was January 2017, so that's well over 3 years ago now. And I kind of said, all right, enough's enough, I'm not who I used to be. I'm going through a lot of stuff. My life's very different now. I don't, I don't have, uh, I don't have an angle. I don't. If I didn't have that lifeline, I didn't have anything. I guess I never saw it the way that you did. But I used to get pretty disheartened when I put my heart and soul into something and I'd only, get a diminishing return of like 50, 60 people when I could throw out, 5 minutes of spitting bile into a mic and get 1,000 views.
It is the age old like YouTube's been around for 500 years. It is the age old conundrum of YouTube, though, isn't it? I've gone through that exact same thing, and I think for me that's one of the reasons why I forced myself, not forced myself, but sat down, had a word with myself, and said, right, what am I happy with, or what am I comfortable with? That's it. What do I want to see as a minimum if I'm going to carry on doing this? Like, I'm more than happy, shouting out over a mountain, effectively, with this video or with these videos. But how much time and effort do I want to put into them? And you know, um, I think and we spoke about this yesterday. The RPG Maker series was a bit like my anchor, like your rants video were for you, because
your RPG Maker series is what got me into you in the first place.
well, and a lot of people as well, apparently, which is nice. But it's genuinely one of the most, the series as a whole of that sort of stuff is like the most wholesome stuff I've ever really created, because it's something I've been really interested in. I've spent the time and effort to figure all this stuff out for myself, and I've gone, well, if I spent all this time and effort to figure this out, and a lot of it is really simple, because it's like, how do I put a script and how do I put a script in, how do I edit it to do what I want it to do, or how do I give myself the tools to be able to do that? I can make a 10-minute video talking through my experience, hopefully breaking it down as simple as possible, and then actually being able to record my screen and show me doing it and giving almost like a sort of there's a few companies on there that do like online video video like workshops and stuff like that, and that's effectively what they are, to a certain degree. Obviously, very amateur, but I could do 3 or 4 weeks of videos with like 5 or 6 views that were on like just games I was playing at the time, and I'd feel really disheartened. But then I'd go and I'd have some comments maybe, and I'd look and it would be like people from that tutorial video, this tutorial video, saying, "Oh, thanks, that really helped. Oh, I'm so stupid, I didn't realise how to import that image," or whatever. And just people going out their way to say that was really nice, because like that has sustained the channel for a very long time, and it almost felt like it happened out of accident. It was just something I wanted to have a play around with, and I was like, I'm certain this can help people, with
Well,
stuff.
yeah, it threw you a lifeline, and
Mm.
I have this weird thing. I don't know as to why I do this, but again, I was making content for a very long time. I met a lot of people. I've seen a lot of channels and conglomerates and companies even come and go,
Mm.
And I have this weird itch that I need to scratch every 6 months, a year, when I look up some of these channels that I used to know. I
Okay.
look
Yeah.
up some of these people every, again, a year, maybe every half a year, and I see if they've done anything or if they've long since gone. And that's kind of where, not to paraphrase Joseph Buckley too hard, but I didn't want to be the guy who didn't realize his time was up, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
see a lot of these channels I used to know. Gaming Wildlife, they had 100,000 subscribers, they had million viewed videos, and now they've been over for almost 2 years. Uh, Cubics Fails, none of you remember Cubics at all? Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe
Kinda,
Minecraft
yeah.
videos.
Huh?
Do you do Minecraft videos?
He did. He also did. Sorry, she also did.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he became a she, very much like myself.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. Uh,
Vaguely, I vaguely remember. If that helps.
yeah, yeah. Again, I wouldn't blame you for not knowing. This is going back to like 2013. It's a long time ago.
Hmm.
But their content is all gone. William Duntis. Don't know if you remember his name. So,
Oh, dentist. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, gone since 2014.
Gosh.
Yeah. Even like the more recent ones, Up to the Nines, Scolio, Tolstoy, just people I used to, be so close with that no longer, have a presence, even upwards of like 3, 4, or 5 plus years,
Hmm.
just gone. And I looked at all of these people and I thought, well, I remember everyone. I had this thing where every now and again, I'll look somebody up and I'll just see. It's like, what did they do next? What was their next steps? And most of the time, they're gone for a long time. And I thought, well, they've left it all behind and they've moved on. And it was depressing for me because I don't know if you saw, about 6 months ago, I got the urge to make a video again. I don't know if you saw that video.
Um, I saw that you made a few videos that were like heavy metal related.
No, no, I mean like long since after that too.
Uh,
Like in the last 7, 8 months.
I'm sure. Well, no, I can't. No, I can't remember.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I don't.
Anyways,
Obviously, I didn't see it. I mean, I am still subscribed to the channel, but whether YouTube showed it to me or not, I don't know. So.
that's okay. Anyways, so I made an old school, like a proper old school like video, like a CSG type video. I was
Hmm.
playing Super Hot and I was like commenting on it.
Playing what? Sorry.
I did Pedro, my friend Pedro as well, and I loved it. And I was like, I
Oh, you
was
did a
like,
video on that, did you? I've only seen
I
like one
did.
video on it. Oh. No, I've
Yeah, I did.
definitely,
I did a.
I would have, 100% would have watched it had I seen that pop up because, you know, yeah, that would have been something I'd be
I
interested in.
can give you the link if you want.
Yeah, send it me. I'll watch it.
All right, cool. I did a video on Pedro anyway,
Mm.
and I did one on Super Hot. Because I
Ah,
was gonna
yes.
do this. I was gonna do this like small anthology, like Let's Play review series on indie game, like Twitch-based indie games. So Hotline Miami, Super Hot,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Katana Zero, Arcane. There was Party Hard and The Messenger, I think it was. So all these
Yeah,
like twitchy kind of indie retro games.
bit edgy games. A lot of them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did two of them, and I loved it. And I got some really, really nice comments from my old friends. I haven't like heard their names in like 3, 4 years.
Mm.
They were like, "Oh my God, you're back. It's been so long." And it kind of, I felt so happy to like see these people again, because you're right. YouTube is this network of people that will come and go. Like it's almost like a revolving door. It's like a lot of friendships in my life. I tend to think of people, even family, and even I mean, it would have been my fiance, would I not, live with her for the last 4 or 5 months?
Mm.
She's at work right now. Anyways, uh, YouTube and so on is this revolving door concept where people will come into your life and they might go, but they could always come back. And you should never have the expectation that you need to play up for people and that those people that are meant to be around will always come back around. At least that's how I see it. So friends I wouldn't see for a year or two, I might bump into in the street and we might go for a drink and hang out. And then we talk and we uh, did things for 6 months to a year, 2 years, and then it goes quiet again. 5 years later down the line, oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. The cycle goes around again,
Mm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's at least how I see things like that. And as far as YouTube is concerned, I saw names I hadn't heard of in a very long time, and it made me very happy. And it reminded me as to why I loved it so much. You know what I mean? Where I spent so many years. I don't know if you remember this, but 2013 until about late 2015 was like the time when I tried my hardest. Do you remember?
Mm. Yeah, I do. I remember we were very, very close in terms of subscribers at that point, and we both were going. Well, it was both. Well, at the time, it was my main thing to do other than work and uni. So I imagine pretty much the same for you at that time.
Well, it was. I mean, 2013, I would have been 15. So, yeah,
Probably had what, like 1,200, 1,400 subscribers at that point, I would have thought.
something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, something like that. Because again, I have my finger in many pies, and as you brought up earlier, I kind of had this thing when I wanted to put my own spin on ideas that inspired me. So I did videos, and I borrowed from YouTubers and content creators that I found inspiration from in
Mm.
subtle ways that could, flavor my own content. And I'll be honest with you, even just talking about this, even, being on this program, it's kind of like sparked it up for me again, where I kind of want to get back into the old school swing of things, but I just don't know if there's going to be, you know, if people have forgotten me or not.
If it helps, I sometimes think people have forgotten me and I've never really left. No, I mean, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I just saw that my fiance has left four of her cigarettes on the like rolled up on the TV stand, and she was meant to take those to work this morning. So
uh, okay.
yeah, I reckon she's just gonna be at work and she's gonna be like rolling them up and taking 10 minute smoke breaks again. That's it's okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to break flow, but it
No,
just kind
it's
of
alright.
caught me by surprise because I mean, I don't smoke. I've never smoked. It's not a thing I enjoy. But when you have a partner that smokes and you have to go outside every fucking 10 minutes and watch her do it, it's interesting. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you. I missed this kind of dynamic. Well, I really did just miss this back and forth kind of thing that we have going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, as much as I was resentful about my YouTube past, as much as I didn't want to acknowledge it, as much as I wanted to focus more on my music and the kind of person I wanted to be, a small part of me still, yearns for that time. Definitely.
I think you have to balance it up between what is rose tinted nostalgia glasses and what is
That's the,
realistic as well.
that's the thing. I have this feeling now, because my whole nostalgia period for my channel and what I did was just after I rebranded to talk about metal music and rank albums and such. And I doubt you watched any of that shit.
I am not into heavy metal, so I didn't watch it.
There you go. most people. I gained a whole new audience of people that
I
just wanted
imagine,
me
yeah.
to. Yeah, literally. And there was a little bit of crossover, which was cool. Do you remember Paxman at all?
No.
Ah, okay. He was a fan of mine years and years back, and he had an interest in metal too. So we did a review together back in 2015, and that was cool.
There's someone called Patrick. Is there a Patrick in
There
our
was
circle?
Patrick Rushke, yeah, the
Mm.
German. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember now? Do
No.
you remember now?
I just find it funny. How do I describe him? Well, he's German. Oh, okay. Fair enough. That'll do. Move on.
German. He drinks the beer. He has the sausage. He's the bratwurst.
No. No.
Yeah.
I just remember a Patrick. That just came into my
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Patrick was kind of the reason. Do you remember the podcast, the Insomniac podcast?
Yes. I think I was on one, right?
Yes. You were on one or two, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
we had to like hard delete that from online because we said so much incriminating shit.
It. Yeah. I think I can't remember if it was that particular podcast, but I've been on a few smaller
Mm.
YouTuber podcasts before, and I was on. It might have been that one, and I felt so uncomfortable on
Yeah,
that
it must have
podcast
been us.
because there's
I
just
mean,
don't get me
how do you
wrong.
think
Feel free.
Guru? Oh.
Go on.
Do you remember when we had Guru Larry come on?
Yes. Yes, I do. I do. He hated that. You
Huh?
could tell. You could tell he absolutely hated it.
I don't know why he
He
felt it would
hated
be a
it.
good environment for him.
It was not suitable for him to have
No.
associated himself with that.
Well, that was what I found so funny though was that I posted a link to it on Facebook
Mm.
one day, and Larry messages me and he goes, "Oh hey, this looks really fun," and I was like, Larry, just calm down, Larry. Oh man, it's kind of weird. Guru Larry is one of the only people I still watch like all the time on YouTube. You know,
I think.
I watch all the Fact Hunt. I watch all games Yanks can't wang. I watch fucking everything that man does.
Do you
You gotta
think?
remember, I've met Stuart Ashen, you know. So I guess I was in that kind of that inner cycle that he had with Barry and people like that. But
Mm. Mm-hmm.
he was cool. Yeah, Stuart Ashen was a cool guy when I met him. That was fucking 6 years ago now. Jesus.
I think it would be cool. He just lives. Well, he lives even further away from you, but he lives far away from me as well. So.
He came down to Bristol, and that's my neighbouring town. And he had like
Yeah.
a thing in Bristol, and it's a 10-minute train ride. So I thought, well, fuck it, might as well go see what's up. Uh, yeah, I met a few of that lot. And I still watch Ashens, but not as reliably as I once did. You know, I must say.
I think Ashens has done quite well at being able. He's like sort of hit the sweet spot of still being able to work in his little niche techie thing, you know, with the brown sofa, which is, you know, obviously like remnants of whatever is left from the original. Um, but still be able to like appeal to those exact same people he was appealing to before. But it doesn't. I don't watch his videos and think, oh, I feel like I've watched this before. You know.
Yeah, I think Ashens is definitely one of the outliers and the exceptions and
Mm.
people that had their time in the proto uh, early YouTube space and just carve out that niche that still exists. Because it's a lot easier said than done. I mean, I looked up channels like Blunty 3000 and people I used to watch 10, 15 years ago that just don't exist anymore. And yet Ashens is like that outlying anomalous one consistent that
Mm.
just kind of kept going and was consistently quite good.
Yeah, I think. And in terms of like watching people on YouTube, obviously it's different being someone who tries to create on YouTube. Um, but I've always been quite almost sort of like I wouldn't say resentful, but found it difficult to watch and enjoy other people's videos. Because
So,
I'm also making videos, and it's like,
what kind of people would you let yourself in with in that scenario?
what do you mean?
Well, you say you find certain people difficult to watch because it's almost like they're competing for your space. And who would you say those people would be? You know, like what kinds of people?
Well, I wouldn't say I have the issue anymore. I mean, I do. I think.
No, but
I think the thing is, like, I struggle to find new people that I'm happy with watching.
yeah, no, I
Um,
get it.
because like I sort of almost want to know enough about the person, but not have to go to the extent to learn enough about the person to know, or channel, to know if there's someone that I want to watch. Because I almost feel as though the people that I watch are people who I'm affiliated with, I guess, in a way. And like I've never sat down and watched a full PewDiePie video in my whole entire life. Um,
Well, I mean, he's definitely changed quite a lot in the last
and
couple.
I don't, I would never want to be associated with him in any form, like no matter what. Um, and I think it's really stuff like that. Like I don't know, it's difficult for me to explain, but I have like a core of channels that I'm subscribed to, and it takes a lot for me to click that subscribe button. There are channels that
It
I
doesn't.
watch. There's video
Yeah,
channels that I watch quite a lot, I would say, that I'm not subscribed to. And hitting that subscribe button for me is like that. If I hit that subscribe button, I'm like that is the pinnacle. That is me saying, okay, you know, I want to see your videos come up, and I want to know what you put out. I might not watch all of them. That's fine. I don't have to. But I am happy with the affiliation of me saying, of me giving you that vote of confidence.
definitely.
I know
You
not.
know,
I know
I
people don't
think
see. I know a lot of people don't see it that way. By the way, as well. I
no,
can.
no. I actually completely agree with that sentiment. I have the same thing where if I said to somebody, you know, oh, I'll have to watch 5, 10 videos before I do, and I think, well, fuck, you
Mm,
know, what else have you got to offer me? And I had this thing where a lot of the content that I watch on YouTube is quite periodic. So at the moment, I'm subscribed to like 4 or 5 like Mortal Kombat 11 channels because I play Mortal Kombat 11 competitive, you know.
mhm. Mhm.
But then Mortal Kombat has been a part of, like, I guess all NetherRealm Studios games has been a very active part of my life for the last 9 years. So it's kind of hard to let go of. My brother and I, we played MK Trilogy back on PS1. We played MK4 back on PSP, and then got into Deception, Armageddon, Deadly Alliance, all before the relaunch in 2011 with Mortal Kombat. And
Mhm.
then MKX was big for us. MK11 has been fucking massive uh, because it kind of gels those more intricate, nuanced, footsie type one-on-one fighter mechanics of Street Fighter with the more streamlined and refined Mortal Kombat experience. You know, MK11 is a brilliant fucking game. And it's sad because we tried to play Tekken 7 and we just doesn't gel with it. Soul Calibur's a bit floaty. Virtual Fighter 5 is 7, 8 years old, and one-on-one fighters is always going to be that aspect of my life that I'll never have, you know, a grasp of again in the same way. Like Mortal Kombat has just captured my heart, and I watch a lot of content that revolves around MK11 because it's just the thing I do. Like I've got it on Switch, I've got it on PC, I play it all the fucking time. It's that one constant. MK is that one constant that remains the same, and it's sad because, you know, like most of my family right now, they've gone over to Ireland. They're back in Ballymatton for another 2 weeks. My younger brother is in Winchester. My other younger brother is at home at the house, and it's like I'm sort of all alone. I'm an outlier here in this empty flat right now, you know.
Mhm.
But MK, Mortal Kombat, has been that one constant for 20 years, you know? I can always go and play MK4, MK Trilogy, MK11, MK9, MKX, and it's always going to be there. with my younger brother, and that's the sad thing. It's like the people I watch on the internet now are my staples. Guru Larry, Ashens. I watch a lot of like documentary channels. Do you know channels like White Light and Joseph Anderson, things like that?
No, I can't say I've seen
Well,
them.
they do like long plays of videos. So they do like big like retrospective style documentary type reviews of like Dishonored and games that are like big potatoes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're interesting, and I watch them a lot. As well as like gamers, GVMERS stuff that I wish I could have done, but never had the insight, research, or mantle to actually take up myself. Things like that. I watch a lot of stuff, much to the chagrin of my fiance, who just wants to watch Grace and Frankie on Netflix. But I'm like, no, an hour-long retrospective on Dead Space it is.
Well, you've got to, in a relationship, you've got to keep your own interests alive, haven't you? So that's just as important. Oh, that's the
I
case for
tell
both
you,
people.
ever since we moved into this new like flat, it's pretty big.
Mm.
Uh, she's pretty happy because I've got a PS4 rigged up, and that does all the streaming. Because I've not currently got my computer. My
Oh,
computer's
okay.
at the house. So the PS4 kind of like does all the Netflix and Disney Plus and what's the other one? Amazon Video. So she has films and movies and TV, and she doesn't. She's not restrained to just the issue as it was in her last place when I only had my Switch.
Yeah, although means you can't play on the PlayStation if she's watching Grace, though, can you?
Yeah, but like, do you know the last you'll find this funny. The last PS4 game that I played and beat was Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Gosh.
I tell you, I've got 4 PS4 games here. I've got Red Dead Redemption, no, 5, sorry. Red Dead Redemption, Spider-Man PS4, Doom, Mankind Divided, Ezio, and Syndicate. That's what I got. I mean, I've got like 30 odd PS4 games, but those are the ones I've got with me.
Mm.
And I finally beat Assassin's Creed Syndicate for the first time. Because you got to think, right? My favorite time period in history is Victorian London. My favorite video game franchise it used to be Assassin's Creed. And in 2015, you combine those two things, and you think I would have loved it and played it and, thought this was amazing, right? And I got so fatigued. I don't know if you remember my old Unity videos I did.
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I tried to do the same with Syndicate, and I just didn't, I just hated it. I hated the combat was, I mean, I still think the combat is bad. I beat the game the other day, and I have no desire to ever touch it again. It was a beautiful world with a bland story, characters I've already forgotten, and a combat system I cannot abide by. And yet, somehow, I still liked it. Because of that world, because of that recreation of Victorian 1863 London, it just draws me back. But then I've got a bit of a fetish for Victorian London, if you think about it. When I was 17, I did a paper on Victorian London, like a dissertation, and that, I wish Syndicate was out then because I could have had that to sort of draw my inspiration to.
Hmm.
Alas. Also, the Ezio trilogy, which is the best those games ever were, and that's going back 9 years now.
Yeah, I was never into Assassin's Creed, but it's just me.
I know you made that very clear,
I think
and I don't blame
I
you.
think we started off the
Felt,
podcast railing on Assassin's Creed.
yeah, we did. And like, 5, 10 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, I might have got up in arms about it, but like Assassin's Creed is not the series it once was. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well, lots of video games go down that route, don't they?
They do.
Eventually, it's bound
But
to
I
happen
think
at some point.
Yeah, and I think with a game series as big as AC and with so many studios, like Quebec and Montreal and Singapore, handling development duties on Assassin's Creed, you have this blemish this up and down line graph kind of quality that every game is going to be fundamentally different in some way, shape, or form.
Mm.
And it was very tight knit back when I was young. I mean, I was 11 years old when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, you know? I grew up with Ezio, so that was AC2 in 2009, Brotherhood in 2010, and Revelations 2011. So I played all those games as they came out. But I grew disenfranchised and fatigued as it went on. I think a lot of people did. Uh, I still haven't played Origins, which is the most recent. Sorry, I played Origins. Odyssey, which is the most recent one. That was 2018. I bought it when it came out, but I just hated playing it. And a lot of people would say it is the worst Assassin's Creed game because it plays like a fucking free-to-play mobile game, you know, hack and slash, raid Shadow Legends type thing.
Well, it is basically, isn't it? When you consider all the
Exactly.
buy-ons and oh, you want that weapon? Well, give us money. You want more
Exactly.
XP? Give us money.
Yeah, you've hit
You
the
bought the
nail on
game.
the
You
head.
bought the game for £80. Don't care. Give me money. But no, I mean, for me, the reason have disliked Assassin's Creed since the first one. My friend played it, and and I was really excited to play it. I thought, you know what, this sounds really good. You got to hide from people, jump in bushes, do big leaps, assassinate. The sword played up quite fluid and all that sort of stuff. And then he told me that basically it's set in the future, and you go back in these machines. You go back
Yeah,
to relive these memories. And I was like, that sounds like the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life, and I'd never touched it. That's it. For me, that killed it. I was like, what kind of story is that? No. Goodbye.
well,
And
I think that's quite a. I mean, it's a fair point, but I think that that's not the biggest issue with the story. Like, if you can overlook, I think you should try to. Okay, at least try and play the Ezio trilogy. Play AC2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, because the Animus content, the modern day story, makes up just a small modicum of content. You know,
it's ridiculous.
uh, it's such a minor part of going into a machine and reliving memories. I think in AC2 it comes up at the very beginning and the very end, and the whole middle part is literally just the Ezio story. I mean, in the first game, yeah, it's quite kind of shoehorned down your neck that this company is forcing particular people to relive this very distinct bloodline to trying to benefit their own selves, and that is an outlying part of the story. But it's such a minor issue compared to the major ones people have nowadays.
Well, yeah, I mean, lots of Assassin's Creed has developed lots of other issues since then. But for me, that was the first one, and that was the original reason. And I don't feel as though I've lost out on anything, seeing how the franchise has panned out. So
Found out maybe. I mean, like Valhalla, I'm probably gonna get Valhalla out of like loyalty, I suppose, because it
isn't it
looks
basically
kind of.
just For Honor?
Yeah, but For Honor was shit.
Yeah, I know, that's what I mean.
One of my friends actually, I might be getting too deep for context, but I doubt he'll ever see this, so I'll just tell you. One of my old friends, um, he loved For Honor, right? And he had a gaming PC, and there was three of us. There was uh, two of our old friends from school and myself, and we both had this epic fantasy that one day we would have the money to make a gaming computer. Uh, so for him, he got his PC in early 2014, and mine was late 2014 because I wanted to work for mine first, you know. So I was 16 and I wanted to, work for that money to be able to afford one.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And well, my friend, he fell into hard times. And he always talked about how great Dishonored was, not Dishonored, For Honor was. And he actually he fell into the wrong crowd and he had to sell his computer for a paltry sum of like 200, 300 pounds for components that would easily sell on their own for 700. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too in depth with it, but he kind of had no choice but to come up with that money fast. It's kind of sad in a way, but addictions and the kind of money you have to pay back for people are pretty insurmountable sometimes.
I believe so. Yep.
Not that I ever indulged in that kind of thing, but
Well, no, you can be aware of a particularly unsavoury system without being a part of it, can't you? So.
that's true. Yeah. Um, so he went back to console gaming. The last time I saw him, anyway, he was playing consoles, and I think about it a lot because okay, this is going back 8 fucking years, but he was actually the guy I started CSG with. I don't know if you saw any of those though.
Yeah, I do. I don't remember. I know it's been that long ago. I remember bits, but yeah, I do remember it was a joint thing to start off with.
Yeah.
Mm.
I,
Then
I
you had a
tell
bit of
you,
a falling out, and as all good
we did,
relationships
but
go, and
we
then it
did
was
have
just
a
you.
falling out. Yeah, we had a falling out, but we fixed things. And again, I saw him about 4 months ago. I literally just bumped into him down the shops
Mm.
after about 4 years of not seeing him. And then before that was, uh, before he went to uni, I think he came back and we celebrated his like 18. But it's a long time ago. It's hard to recollect. I gotta say, do you think I could ever make it again in this, YouTube climate, or do you think I'm better off staying gone?
I don't really necessarily think it's for me to say. I think if it is something you want to do, then I think by all means give it a go. But I think I set myself and I set myself some expectations like a couple of years ago where I said, when I sort of quit, but I was like, I'm not quitting because I don't want to make a I'm quitting video, even though it was like an I'm quitting video. It's more a case of I'm going to be doing this less, and that's okay. And I will do it as and when I feel like it, and as and when I have something to share.
Yeah,
Um, you have to make the decision on what you're comfortable with, and have a proper think about it. If it is something you want to contribute or how you want to contribute. Because at the minute you not got anything up, right? So it would be this. These would be your archive, your legacy going forward. I guess as something that you can leave up and be happy with, and be able to do like come on, occasionally do stuff like this with me as well, and we can talk about some of the stuff that you've done previously, and you're not having deleted it and said, "Oh, I'm not that person." I think if it's for growth and if it's for, you know, like almost like a documentation or an archive of stuff that you've enjoyed or, and that sort of thing, and it's not just like stuff that's throwaway. I think that's sort of. I think if you go more along that route, obviously I'm talking about the route I've sort of got now, but if you go along that route, I don't think you ever get into a situation hopefully, what you feel as though, oh, I've got to go through and delete all these because I'm not that person anymore.
I think that was mostly to do with my transition. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on hormones, like female hormones, for about a year and 4 months. Only yesterday did I start progesterone, which is like a secondary female. It like rounds you out, rounds your body out. It's
Okay.
like I've got a very feminine body, but obviously I don't think I sound very feminine. But that's just me. I think I'm probably putting it on a bit for the video because I want to sound a bit old school, but if I force it, it
Right.
would sound a lot more
Mm-hmm.
high and soft. But I'm trying to sound as I used to sound. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I've been
yeah.
on.
I think being totally honest, if you want to be totally honest in your videos, that you have to factor that in deciding if you want to do it or not. Maybe it shouldn't be that way, but this is how the world is. I know you're very thick-skinned, but to not consider it would be foolish. Um, so I won't say whether you should or not, but if you do, um, you know, like I have people who will watch me and support me and all that sort of stuff. I also, as you probably, well, maybe not assume, but will know, they'll be there to support you as well.
Thank you.
If you do, put stuff out and interact and comment and do all that sort of stuff, because I think that's important. I'm also at a stage where I won't, like with your heavy metal stuff, I won't watch it if I'm really not interested in it. And I think, that's going to happen, and that's fine, and that's one of them.
I think a lot of people just weren't interested in the heavy metal
Yeah,
stuff because my channel wasn't built on that.
no. So obviously it depends on what and what thing you want to go down. If you've got something really creative and you think is really interesting that you're going to enjoy doing and putting out, then yeah, give it a go. But I'm not giving you. I'm not going to say to you yes or no, obviously. But I think it's more just decide if you definitely want to,
Do
without
you want to see
and
more though?
and set your expectations. Sorry.
Would you want to see some more like content? Is the question though.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not? You said, right?
That's it. I said, why not? Why not show me more content? You know,
I mean, again, it could be on the cards. It's mostly just, uh, you know, if I have something to say, I could say it. But
yeah.
I think until I get my rig in the flat, it's gonna be, you know, like distant going. That's the thing though, because my fiance will go to work and 16 hours later I'll see her again. You know what I mean?
I think. I'd, uh, I think if you want to do something, and I've thought about this before because I've got like plenty of contingencies. If you really want to do something, there's always a way to produce it.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think not having the computer is the biggest problem anyone's ever had to make a video or express their opinions. But it does help, obviously, admittedly, astronomically. Um, but if you've got the time between now and then, I would just give it serious. I would just give it serious thought. I've said this 5 times. I'll say it again. Write down or have a word with yourself, and set your expectations of what you're happy with and why you want to do it. Your why is more important than anything else. It can't just be I want to just put videos on the YouTube or I miss a bit of nostalgia, because I don't think that's a good enough reason.
Well, I think nostalgia is a big part of it for me
I think
because as much as I lament what I did, I don't really have the same disdain towards what I got from it, you know?
mm, yeah, I don't know. For me, it's got to be because you want to be doing something progressive rather than nostalgia, which I think generally is nice to indulge, but I think it's regressive when taken too far.
Did you ever think we would do this again?
I don't see why not. Everything's possible.
No, no, I know. But did you
um,
ever think that, this exact situation would ever happen again?
I couldn't have given you a date or time as to when it would happen, no. But it's nice that it has,
I
and
agree. Definitely.
um, and I'm sure it will get as many views as it got previously, which is nice. It's like very fitting. It's very nice and nostalgic, and all that sort of stuff. Which is, like I say, nice to indulge from time to time, but it's not something that you do consistently. it lives in its place, and you get to revisit it every now and again. And
Absolutely.
you
I
don't
mean,
you don't want to live there.
sorry, we started this thing off. You showed me the 1 year anniversary upload special. Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah.
And I kind of got to to watch myself. I would have been 14, or I think I was 14, but I might have been 15.
Mm.
Again, I'm not so sure it just depends when that video like was
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I was young, you know what I mean? I was a young man when that when that video came out, and now I'm a little bit older woman. You
Yeah.
know, I've
Big
got a
change.
feminine body, and uh, I keep trying to force my old school like voice, but yeah, I'm very different now to what I used to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, you got me on Facebook. You've seen the photos and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
Look
not
the
under any
same to
illusion of what's
me.
going on. Obviously, or I'm not under any illusion. You know,
Exactly.
it's just life.
Yeah,
People develop in different ways,
it's true.
or for some people it is what they always were, but just finalising it, or just going through the motions of doing it. Not that that means it's easy. It's still it's still like it's a full path with all its trials and tribulations. But you know, you've got to be determined, haven't you? And I think that's the same with anything you want to do. You know, you can't
Yeah,
go and do your
absolutely.
masters at uni if you're not determined to do it. You can't, um, you know, run a not even successful, but like personally successful, or a YouTube or a channel or an outlet that you can be proud of. I think that's what it is. Without being consistent and being determined. And I
Are
think,
you proud of your outlook?
am I proud? Yeah, it does what I want it to do. It's my archive. Um, I don't look back. I can look back at stuff and be cringy, obviously, because that's so cringy because it's so old. But I don't look back at anything and think I'm such a uh, not very nice person for having done that video or for saying that or for doing this. And there's nothing I look back and think that of. You know, maybe like some opinions are slightly misinformed, um, which is probably like the worst I've ever done. And yeah, it's nice. It is my nostalgia. A lot of it. The further any pages past the first 5 pages are all like nice and nostalgic, and I have unrestricted access to that whenever I want it, which is quite rare. I mean, I know it's happened a lot recently because we're doing this. I've had the stream yesterday, um, but yeah, I will probably now not dip back into that for many months unless I'm like doing something now that I want to look. Oh, how did I do that before? What lessons can I learn from it? And I think like it's a good learning tool for that as well for me.
No, absolutely. I definitely can see that approach. I had a question, actually.
You did have two. Is this the second one, or is you
It
still got
is
the
the
second?
second
Okay, go on.
one. How's Wilfred?
Pain in the ass. Why?
Well, I mean, before your hiatus, you came back with your top 5 games, and then you showed us off Wilfred, and he's a pretty cute looking cat. So
Yeah, I did the top 5 games because it was almost like a tradition on the channel, and I was like, even though I've not put anything out for a while, I'll be damned if I at least don't have a video of me just sitting in front of the camera saying what games I've played this year. But yeah, the first quote unquote proper video was of Wilfred. Not too long after we got him, actually, maybe like a month after we got him. But it's coming up to his 1 year birthday very soon, and
oh,
he's
it's a
taken
cute
to
little
trying to
cat.
pulling down the curtains at like 4:30 in the morning every morning. I think that he's not necessarily enjoying the heat too much because he is quite a big, fluffy cat,
Yeah,
and he
I
gets
mean,
a bit
I
restless.
have two dogs at the house, and I don't think they enjoy the heat that much.
It makes him all
One of
crabby.
them's white, so he's okay, but we have a pug. It's the family do.
Mm.
It was all black, it's like black and silver pug, and I bet she fucking hates me.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable for humans, so I imagine what it's like for furry beasts as well. But
Exactly.
was that the what was that the second? Was that the second question?
I don't
You can't
remember
remember.
now.
Okay. We've been going for a bit now.
Nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, nearly 2 hours. So I think that's too long. That's
Yeah.
fine. Too long for a video, but been nice to catch up, which has been good.
It's
With
been
you.
therapeutic
Sorry.
in a lot of ways. It's been very therapeutic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's good to have that interaction. Like I say, it's nice to dip in occasionally and talk about that sort of
It's
stuff.
nice to reminisce
Hmm.
and look back on a forgotten time of what seems like a long time ago.
And you never know if it is something you weigh up and decide you want to do. Then there might be podcasts well, what would I say, progressive podcasts, I guess. In the case of we're talking about what's going on now or what things are coming up rather than looking backwards. And then we can just do this when it comes to 15-year anniversaries and that sort of stuff. And I will be 30 then. I will be 30 on my 15th anniversary. So.
I'm sorry, but like I had this whole thing where I knew you were 27 at one point.
I was 27 at
I
one
kind of
point. That's true. Yeah.
yeah, but I kind of put two and two together, and I'm like, okay, I know you're a few years older than me, so you were 27. I thought you were 27 in like 2015, so I'm like, okay, plus 3, 4 years is 30. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
Don't worry. Father time is coming for me. I'll be 30 soon enough. It's not a problem.
I tell you something, I dread being 30, because I mean, at least you're a homeowner with a stable job and shit.
Yes,
I live in a
but
decent.
can I tell you how? Can I tell you the time span in which that has happened?
Yeah,
I've gone
hit me with.
from living in a flat by myself, 20 kilograms heavier, to living in my own house with a proper permanent job that pays, probably like, I don't know, a quarter more than what I was on before, which is obviously quite a large increase, in 18 months.
Shit.
So to think that stuff doesn't happen, like, stuff may not happen for a long time, but then you never know when the start of that like massive period of change will occur. If you had told me 18
True.
months, by the way, you're gonna start talking to this person tomorrow, and then in 18 months' time, all this other stuff's gonna happen, and you'll be at this, but in this situation. But a lot of that has happened at great loss as well, and
Great loss.
I think there is nothing is ever plain sailing. You have issues along the way, and well, you see, in between, I'll say 18 months, maybe if we go 2.5, maybe if we say 2.5 years, like this massive period of change has been the last 2.5 years. I've lost 3 immediate family members in that time, which
Fuck.
has been a certain amount of that has facilitated the change, but it has also been the biggest negatives of my life as a whole. So nothing. I think the thing to take away is nothing comes at a cost, and costs can be great, you know. But yeah, change is not always good. But you have to make. It's come from me. It's also come from me, doing the right thing at the right time to ensure that I'm positive with everything. I had those happen. I then had my bike stolen. I then decided to take responsibility for my health and my weight and start exercising properly and trying to lose weight and trying to eat more healthy. And
Yeah, no,
it
I
all
know.
came as a part of things that were really bad.
Yeah,
But I sat down with myself and said, there's 2 ways this can go now. You know, you either use that to as a scapegoat, and that's how it's going to be forever. Or, you say, actually, I'm going to go the other way and, understand that all this is completely horrendous and really difficult right now. But actually take it one step further and say, what am I not addressing that I should be? Because if I'm going to address all this stuff, all this, horrid stuff, then I now can't be in a way, can't be like a child anymore and put stuff to the side. I have to take responsibility for myself. And by doing that, by making that change myself, through all the other stuff that was going on, in spite of all the other stuff that was going on, that has then led to the position that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And I was 26, 20, 25, 26 then. 25. And that is, how big that sort of, for me anyway, is like an earthquake of change that's taken place. So
sometimes, you just have to have something that shakes you awake and says, do something.
Literally, yeah. I mean, it shouldn't take that, but it did.
No, but I feel like, sometimes that's the healthiest response. I mean, I lost my kid a few months ago, and that was the motivating force I needed to get out of my current job and try and push for a higher position in the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
And I was pushing for grill chef. I mean, that's, a much more like well-off career type, at least until I go back to uni. At least going back was, to get my master's was a decision that only came because of that loss,
Mm.
I wouldn't have done it beforehand.
Yeah, you have to use the bad stuff in the right way. And it's all about how you react to it. It's not about the fact that it happens, because bad stuff is going to happen. You get to decide how you deal with it and what you use it for. So that is a very sobering topic to end on.
Well, I think it's
an
appropriate one, given the fact that, we have kind of zigzagged and gone from somber to funny to lighthearted to heavy, it makes sense to circle back this way.
Yeah, I think so.
I would like to say to all of your Vanburman channel viewers that I do dearly apologize for taking up so much of your time, but
no one has watched this far. You don't need to worry about it.
I've got hope in my heart that someone has seen the shit that I've said.
Even on the edit, even after I make some very small amendments that get left on the editing floor, this is still going to be like an hour and a half. So I wouldn't worry. No one will watch.
You never know.
No, you never know. But if you have, then well done. You might want to go and see your doctor afterwards.
Gold star to you. I much like to say that my voice is very much candy-coated poison, and you should probably get yourself tested.
Right.
Also, check out my music. I had
don't check out his music. Blah, 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 blah. Check out his YouTube channel.
I had 2 new albums come out this year.
Just him screaming into a microphone.
Pretty much.
3 microphones, 2 amps, and 2 albums. That's all it's taken.
Ghost and Gold, Glorious Illumination, Morphine, Dysphoria, out now in all good record stores and online and streaming.
Look, message me over the links. I'll put it in the description.
Thank you.
There you go. It's in the description if you like heavy metal. Or just want to hear a guy scream for a couple of hours.
Black metal with a bit of death in there.
But no, I will thank you for coming on. Thank you to anyone who has even watched a small part of this. Not that you all know that I've thanked you, but I do appreciate it.
Never know, maybe someone out there has gone to the marathon run.
No one.
I'll tell you something, yeah?
Only you.
If anyone out there has been listening and wondering if I'm still alive and what I'm fucking doing now, then listen to this and you'll see that I've basically been working and drinking and laying about during the COVID crisis.
Well, You got to pick something to do, haven't you? You got to pick a hobby during this.
My hobby is 40% spirits.
But yeah, 40% drinking spirits or spirits that are 40%, or both.
Both.
Yeah,
Both.
there you go. Yes, I think I think this is nice to wrap up the nostalgia fest that's been going on with yesterday and now this.
It's been a good time.
Yeah. Right, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, listening. Anything to say? Any last? You got 5 seconds.
I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Bye.